Hello everyone and welcome back to Steins Gate. This is another and last reaction to Steins Gate when it comes to the original series, but don't be worried, there will be more reactions to Steins Gate 0 for sure. So, you know what to do as always. If you want to see the reaction itself, go down into my description, follow the link, replace the circumflex dot parts with real dots and enjoy. Once you've done, feel free to come back here and hear out my thought about this last episode and this series in general. I will see you soon. For those that came back, welcome back. Now, that was a jolly good episode. I really liked it. I mean, those of you who follow my reactions for other series as well, you know that I'm a sucker for good and happy endings, you know? I like to have it sugar-coated. So, what to say? It was a feel-good episode. It was a feel-good ending. Well, I mentioned one or two things already during the reaction itself, which were a bit surprising to me, kind of confusing. As example, the metal Upa being replaced. It makes sense, but I'm questioning it a little bit. But that's something we will see. So we started off with Suzuha and Ocarina going onto the time travel. And she already stated that she never intended to go back into the future when she talked to Daru, who in the end got the hang that he's the father. And it makes kind of sense because the timeline is changed, however, so she will be hopefully in a better timeline, in a good timeline. And if that doesn't work out, if this last try is failing, then she will be stuck in a not so good line. So fingers crossed. What I really liked in the beginning is the fact that Ocarina was able to get out of the dumps. You could see it when he was talking to Suzuha, that he was smiling, that he was positive, and it was not played. He really was having hope that there is a chance that he will make it now. Which is important because in the last episodes he was so depressed, he was so destroyed by all the stuff that has happened. And it was necessary, I see that, but I feel bad when he feels bad, when characters I like feel bad, so it's called empathy. And then he forgot something, and that was a bit. So he has this strange kind of lightsaber with fake blood in it, which we have never seen before in the show, I think. Maybe it was mentioned somewhere, but I completely forgot it, if so. There was a little bit the question. I would have liked it if there would have been something that was like mentioned in episode 1 or 2, and then never mentioned again, and it would reappear now. But nope. He just has this fake blood in there, and he didn't check it before leaving. And I was already like, I'm not sure if this will work. We had Mayuri remembering what happened in the other timelines, so this is a constant theme, this is an important thing. Although they change timelines, people do remember important things. And I like it. Everyone remembers deep down, as he said, and you can, after such a long time, because it was in the beginning of the series, you can finally see again why those two are so close. She is reading him perfectly. She knows what he's feeling. She completely sees that there's more than just friendship to Marquise, and she's genuinely happy for him for it, and I really like that. So this is a wonderful relationship those two have. And then they jumped through time and started off with the metal Upa. So I had to read, those that are reading my comments in the last episode will know it. I had to ask again about the metal Upa because I wasn't sure. So the metal Upa was in the envelope, which we have seen in this episode then. And by being in the envelope with the data about the time machine, with how it is produced, how it is constructed, and everything, the theory behind it, didn't go through at the airport when the professor tried to go through with it, and thus he had it in his normal luggage. He didn't have it in the luggage that was in the compartment, in the cargo compartment, and the cargo compartment burned down. So he had it in his normal luggage. He took out the UPA, and that's it. And thus it didn't burn. By replacing the metal UPA with a normal UPA, he has it in the cargo luggage and it will burn. So I see the reasons, and as I said from episode 1, this UPA will be important. So I was right. But I have to question a little bit what's going on here. So because by taking out the metal UPA, and in this way replacing it, he did change time. It is okay because he still deceived himself. You could say the change in time was minor, but still it is a change in time. But this little change would be a different, I mean in the end, a huge difference between two timelines. Because otherwise, still there would be the World War III, because the professor, I will always refer to him like that, would have the paper, and then the race for the time machine would start. With Marquise Kurisu still alive, but it would start. So it was necessary, but I kind of thought they would change nothing, you know, just make it look like. But no, the UPA was the one important thing. Which brings me to Marquise Kurisu, and I remember Suzuha saying that she is, in the past, she is the evil one, the one from CERN, who works for CERN, the one that is very much important for time travel, and so on and so forth. So seeing in this other timeline, she had this research as well. I mean, it makes sense. She is in the center of the research, and in all timelines, it is her ideas that make the time machine work. It is Ocarina as well, because he did it kind of accidentally, but she has the knowledge in the background to make it from a accidental working time machine into one you can work with in general. I still don't know what's going on with all those jelly bananas and jelly people in the past. Maybe we will have more of that in number 0. I have no clue. So they changed the UPA, which makes sure there is no World War. And then we went for, what do you do about the blood now? So, wrong side. He was there. He stepped in the fight between father and daughter, as he did in the past. But in this past, he stepped her. So that was the one that kind of happened accidentally. And now he realized that he does not have the fake blood he needs. And there was a huge amount of blood, if you remember. So he realized that to get the blood, as sad as it is and as dangerous as it is, there are only 3 persons there at this moment who have the blood. It is her, and I mean, we can be sure he wouldn't ever get any chance of her being hurt. It is the father, the professor. Sure thing, he would like to have his blood, I'm pretty sure. But there are multiple things. The one thing is how she would react. It is still her father, and it would be kind of major change in the timeline, because then the professor wouldn't go to Russia and everything. So we don't know how this would even influence anything. So he chose that it will be his blood. Made the professor attack him by, well, agitating him. That was very clear. And he took the step. I'm pretty sure he could have evaded, because that was no experienced fighter. But he took the step to the stomach, which, by the way, is extremely dangerous. Stomach injuries are incredibly deadly. And then the professor went mad and ran away when he kind of intimidated him. But I think it was you could that's a good thing. You could see at the professor that this was nothing he is used to do. He was going crazy about the fact what he just did. He was already on the brink of being insane, and I think it pushed him over. And the thing with the Upa in the end, the fact that the papers burned, possibly broke him mentally completely. So fitting. He then tased Christina, which makes sense. So she's lying there, and his old version, his original version, has to find her lying in blood. So it's the easiest way of making sure she's playing along. I can see it. I asked myself, how will he get her to play along? Tasing her is an option, not a nice one, however. And I'm kind of surprised she later on didn't throw that in his face, but I guess she will in the future. So she's there, and a bit of blood is there, and it wasn't enough. And I did not see that one coming. So I really thought, like, why is he moving his hands so strange? I was like, okay, is he... I mean, I thought, like, is he grabbing into his wound? I wasn't thinking about doing it to get more blood. I was like, why would he do it? Is there maybe still something in there? I have no clue. And then he punched himself into an open wound. Holy heck. I mean, that's determination. There's no question. That could have been the end. I mean, seriously, if you see the amount of blood that was there then, I'm not sure where he was stabbed exactly, but in this area, it is already dangerous, and doing something like that is life-threatening. Then punching into the open wound is simply life-threatening. So I have to give him respect for this determination. I think he's clever enough to know how dangerous it is. He was aware of the consequences in both directions. He was aware of the fact that it was needed. However, holy heck. And Susur then dragged him out. It was the picture he knew from the past. It was the right picture. And he was there to see himself reacting. He wished himself good luck. I really like that. It's a nice one. So he has come full circle. And saying those will be the most interesting 3 weeks. Most eventful 3 weeks. And we all know it were more than just 3 weeks, because he passed them multiple times. Yeah, I can see that. And then they went through time again with the machine, and Susua said her goodbyes. But not without spoiling everyone about the fact that she will be there in 7 years. So what the heck? I like that one. That's a nice one. So the outro was just a charm, you know. I mean, it was really like they wanted to make up for all the misery they put us through. So we have everyone back on board, everyone. And I really like it. Faris as well, Rika, and even Moeka, which I liked the fact that they kind of gave her a good life now. Because I'm pretty sure this will be a positive one. He invited them all. He kind of used his knowledge to even make a pin for Susua in the future. And it is very interesting because you know this pin. And if I think about that, some of you are rewatching this series. This must be glorious. I mean, when this pin appears the first time, it's not that you just know that it is made by Daru and everything, but you will possibly have remembered this ending credit scene here about everyone getting the pins. So this is a very nice thing to have if you watch it again. I really, really like it. I like the fact that he, in the end, forgave Moeka. He did a bit already in the past. But I very, very clearly remember the moment when he said he would never, ever forgive her. And I can understand it. I mean, she killed Mayushi. She did it. We know why, we know how conflicted she was and everything, but I can understand his anger, and I'm pretty sure at this moment he meant it. He was not acting in this moment. He meant it of never forgiving her. But he's a good person, so he did in the end, because she did good things then. She tried to help him, and well, I think it is the right thing to do. So she has a new life. Everyone has, kind of. And as he does, I'm really looking forward for what this new world will be. I'm not sure if the Zero version will play after this timeline. I guess it is, as far as I understood, about an alternative option, but we will see. And then, last but not least, he met Marquise Kurisu on the streets. I guess she was searching for him, I'm pretty sure. And the fact that time stopped is very nicely done. It is not like it really stopped, I guess, but it is this moment when you meet someone like that. In this moment, time just stops for you. There's nothing else important. And she remembered, because he said to her, "So we meet again, Christina," which he never said to her in this timeline. So it is something he said in an alternate timeline, and she replied instantly, "I told you not to call me that, I'm not your assistant." So she remembered, and you could see it instantly that she was like, "Wait a second, where did this come from?" So I guess he will tell her what happened. Maybe, I don't know if he will tell her all, but I think it's the right thing to do. The interesting question is now, what do you do with knowledge like that? I mean, and there we go for what's coming after this has happened. What is it going to be? I mean, they have the lab. They will possibly find each other in every possible way. Hopefully being a couple. We will hopefully find out somewhere who the mother of Suzu is. And I think in the outro we caught a very short glimpse of her. But the thing is, he has enough knowledge about the time machine now. We know that with the three of them, him, Marquise Kurisu, and Daru, there is the option to build a time machine. Question is, do you do it now? He has learned so much about that, well, you cannot play with time. It is nearly impossible to sort out what's going to happen. But it is said when it comes to inventions, there is a time in life on our planet for the human race when there is an invention that has to happen, And if you don't invent it, someone else will within the next years or decades. There were, as we know, inventors who invented the same thing within a couple of months apart from each other. And very often the question was, who is the one to get credit? This question, who was the first to fly? You can discuss endlessly with people about that, because from every nation you will hear a different thing. It is not the Wright brothers. Sorry, it is not. And the same as if it goes for electricity. We had two very incredible minds who created the idea of electricity in very different ways. Tesla and Edison, And so the problem is, will they in the future study and create the time machine and find a solution to get it into responsible hands? And if so, whose hands should that be? I mean, who can be so trustworthy to be able to fiddle with time? Or will they try to keep it hidden and not allow it for themselves to develop it further? Then someone else might do it very soon. It's a matter of time. So how do you deal with that? I don't think there's an easy answer for that. Definitely not. So now, about the series in general. What a ride! What a great episode, what a great season, what a great series. I wrote down a little bit of the outro before I go into the series at all. Um, it was not easy because we had two things at the same time. We had the text, the things that went on with the characters meeting each other in the end, and at the same time we had the music running of the outro with very own text. So I had to check that one again, but we had in it the seed of sadness will test us, and yes, we had it. There was a test by sadness. I mean, there's no question. It feels sometimes like half of the season was about sadness, which isn't true. The series had just some episodes. The first half of the series was pretty slow build up, you know. Um, and we had only after taking the long way around did I realize what I can't afford to lose, which is the two girls in the end. It's Mayuri and it is Makis Kurisu. What he can afford to lose, sadly, and that's a harsh one, is the dreams of his friends, as we learned. Sure, if there would have been any other way, he would have done it. We all know that. I like the fact that the long way around is in, because as a Doctor Who fan, that has more than just one meaning for me. So the outro was really good when it comes to music, and you've seen me on the intro when it was about deceiving time. There is this intro is in since I think episode 1, and it means something else in the last 3 episodes because it is about deceiving yourself in time. So nicely done there. So now about the series. It started off very, very slow. It really took its time about the characters, about the relations of the characters to each other, about the laboratory, about the whole idea and concept of time travel. It feels to me as though there are multiple strings, multiple ideas about this, especially when it comes to CERN, which were dropped halfway. Like example, the fact that they moved people through time who then appeared as jelly persons. I really would have liked to like seeing a bit of background about this, who they were and where they were sent to, if maybe there was something else. But it isn't the main story, so I can see that this was dropped, kind of. And the jelly banana. Why did the jelly banana go? It was glorious. It is so it took its time, and it needed this time. I think I can see that some people would like to have more speed in it. But it made sure that all the characters were properly introduced and had relations, and seeing that in the end all of those characters were important in the story. It is needed. None of them was a secondary character. They all had, each of them had its very own episode. Each of them was in the end somehow in the whole plot, and that's the thing. So it was slow in the beginning, but it was worth it. And going through it, and it made it so much more important because you feel with those characters if you take the time to learn about them. The series has quite a high request on well, not in generally physics, but let's say you have to be quite on the edge when it comes to trying to understand the ideas of the time travel here. What works with what, the lifter and everything. That was pretty harsh sometimes because it is not easy. It works without understanding, but it makes it a bit easier if you do. So it is not an easy one for people to watch. It plays, especially in the second half of the series, a lot with your emotions, which I like in general. I like it. Good and bad. It makes it pretty clear that there's no thing like ultimate evil. Just talking about Moeka here. It plays a lot about the ideas of psychology and so on, especially the Moeka part, but for Farin as well, who is kind of fleeing from the loss of her father into this world of her cat Queen's cafe, and so it's really nice to see that there's I can say there's like no character that is one-sided. each of the characters has some depth to it. As example, Daru, who might be geeky, nerdy, whatever, with his ladies and his comments all the time, but who is an incredibly good engineer as well. So Mayuri, who might come over as not the sharpest tool in the shop, but who has an emotional level that is incredibly important, and who is like the good centerpiece of all of this. She's one that brings in all of them, and everyone likes her, and I can completely understand that. Even for, Mr. Brown, who just ran by all the time, who was just like there, not the major character, just the landlord. And then in one episode instantly became so important. And even then, when you think like, oh, he's the evil one, you get his background. You get that he's not just evil. He is doing things for his own reasons. And every of those characters does things for their very own reasons. And I really like this. So each character has a drive, has a reason to do what he or she does. And they're all connected to each other. So that's really good. I really like that. As I said, that's a part of the slow build-up of the show. Thus, you can give characters such a deeper meaning. And I like it. Then the idea in general of having a series which, like, halfway around starts moving into the other direction. So you build up by using the D-mail and the time travel as new storyline after new storyline. You change the timelines all the time, and stuff happens and changes. And then midway through, when the thing with Mayuri starts, you start to reverse it. That is clever. That is really good. That is, some might say it is an easy way to make up a plot, in the meaning of you can just use the old stuff again. If it would be like not an animated series, but a real series with actors and in specific areas. By doing so, you could use the area of the first half of the season again. The same room, the same car. You just shoot the same scene again, stuff like that. That would be pretty clever. But even then, this you just have to think about that first. Who gets this idea? This is really clever. The multiple timelines, the fact who's John Titor, the conversations that are happening, the background informations. Who thought of this? Really sat down. I mean, you always have to think we have so many multiple layers in here. We have the view of Ocarina, but all the other characters do stuff at the same time. Suzuha and Mr. Brown, this storyline, who's laying underneath, while Ocarina does something in the background. Mr. Brown realizes it and uses it for CERN, or to send a message to Suzuha. When you write stuff like that, that is something you have to keep in mind. So, and then all those other layers. There's so much. It's so delicate, so tiny informations here and there. So cleverly done. I can only imagine how much I missed. I mean, you've seen me reacting, and you've seen this series before. I guess some of you have seen it more than 2 or 3 times. And I really think if you watch this series again, you will find at least multiple times rewatching it still other little indicators for things that are to be in the future. If you watch episode 1, sure, that one is pretty easy now because it was the main factor in the 2 or 3 last episodes now. So you can see what happens in the background. You know what happens in the background. But let's say episodes 4, 5, 6, and so on. Comments of characters, little gestures, the pin, stuff like that. The IBN, the temple, and so on and so forth. All those things. Maybe some information, some little comment that Faris says, which makes you think about the story with her father, which you don't know yet in this storyline, but you know because you've seen it already. Those are things which are very, very well designed. I really like that. So, what I'm trying to say is this is a really great show. It was really well done. The music is awesome, not just intro and outro, but it was used very well. The graphics, well, I mean, it was really well done. It is a good and it is a constant graphics. You don't have a much of change there, but it was used. It seems to be always summer, you know. But we had 1 or 2 times in the night when Ocarina was running around and was getting depressed, or when dark scenes were. We had it like the shooting of Mayuri. It was very often in the night. It was the use of shadows. We had rain, so that was used as well to set a mood very often. What did I'm pretty sure I'm forgetting about a lot of stuff, but you know in general that I like it. Well, I think that's it for this time. As I already said, great episode, great series. I will continue. Not sure yet, as I said, either with the movie or with the Zero version, which is the new season. And I already got it from you. Thanks for that. That there's an episode 23B, so an alternate version. So I guess we will go into kind of an alternate storyline here, which is fine for me. On the one hand, I would really like to see where this is leading here, as I already discussed. Will you develop the time travel machine now or not? But on the other hand, this is a very nice ending. It is like a good ending, a perfect one. All is fine, you know, they all have a future. So I'm okay with having like an alternate version where something else is happening. So let's see where this is going. This is it for this time. I enjoyed it. I hope you did for sure. And until the next time, please feel free to comment, like, and subscribe. My name is Relax and Panic. Goodbye and out.